You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I am back. Rodrance for Black and White Sports 2. Well, let's talk about my favorite team growing up, and still my favorite team, the 49ers, although they have been harder and harder to root for with some of their off-the-field antics that they've pulled lately. So, anyway, that aside, we're going to talk about what is going to be the big storyline for the next 2 months. And that is quarterback for the 49ers. It is quarterback for the 49ers. And it's very interesting. I just made a Joe Burrow video. It will probably go up first. And at the end of it, I talked a little bit about the fact that Chris Sims had Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy back-to-back in his top 40 countdown. And we know Chris is best friends with Kyle Shanahan. They are. They're best friends. They talk like almost every day. And he was the guy that came out and said Mac Jones is the pick and not Trey Lance. And he's been kind of vocal about the fact that, yeah, that was a thing and plans changed. I think much to the chagrin of actually Kyle Shanahan. So anyway, I'm willing to bet Kyle Shanahan will never lose another quarterback battle when it comes to picking one in that franchise from now on. That's just my guess after what looks to be the disastrous results of Trey Lance. Now, we've got Trey Lance in this. We've got Brock Purdy in this. We got Sam Darnold in this because the Niners like Sam Darnold a hell of a lot. A hell of a lot. Brock Purdy's hurt, but he's sort of marching his way back. So let's do Sam Darnold second in this video. We've got Trey Lance leading the first team reps at OTA. But you Trey Lance truthers, don't get too excited. It's because Sam Darnold is not fully up to speed with this playbook yet. All right? Kyle Shanahan made a point to come out and say that Sam will get equal first-team reps once he understands the playbook and has fully grasped it. We got to remember, they set Jimmy Garoppolo for a long time until they thought he had a very good grasp on the playbook. This is The Athletic, and we've got the New York Post, too. Of course, they're paying attention to Sam Darnold because it would be really embarrassing for the Jets if they have yet another quarterback they drafted, like Geno Smith, go out and show his ass somewhere else. That would be really embarrassing, and that would look really bad for the Jets organization, and it would make you think, my God, what's going on with developing quarterbacks up there? And then I think you're going to start having some other teams sniffing around Zach Wilson all of a sudden. The biggest newsmaker from the 49ers OTA practice Tuesday didn't practice at all. Quarterback Brock Purdy, who has been limited to throwing light items like towels so far this month, he says he's on track to throw a football next week. The biggest step yet in his recovery from elbow surgery. That puts him right on the schedule and maybe a couple of days ahead of schedule to be back at full strength at some point before the start of the regular season. Quote, I feel good. The arm's feeling good. That's really good news. That's from Purdy himself. Shanahan and Lynch have said for months they were optimistic Purdy would return to practice at some point in training camp and be ready for the team's first regular season game, which is September 10th in Pittsburgh. By the way, the NFL did bring back the Brock Purdy rule, the third quarterback rule. Asked Tuesday whether that meant early in training camp or late in those sessions, Shanahan declined. Quote, we're hoping for week 1, he said of Purdy's availability, and we feel pretty optimistic about that. Purdy has been building up strength in his arm slowly since March 10th's procedure, and he has said everything mostly returned normal with his arm. For example, he says he's lifting weights like he normally does. To this point, however, he hasn't attempted to throw a football. We know that creates a special kind of torque on elbows. He's been side by side with the team's other quarterbacks since the start of the offseason program, but when they drop back and release a football at practices, he's using a towel. Yikes. Brock's healthy in every other aspect, Shanahan said, so for Brock to still be able to do his drops, all of his footwork and stuff, you also want him to be able to simulate a throwing motion. And that's hard with nothing in your arm, so we use a towel instead. Now, here's some observations from the OTA. Look at this, folks. Yeah, in case you didn't see, that's a pass being thrown. Here we go. This is David Lombardi's video. Come on now. Let's see a little something more than this. Can we? That's Trey Lance right there, standing around. Are you going to another receiver having to reach for the ball. All right, there he is, through the ball. If Shanahan falls in love with him too. We know he gets lusty after all kinds of quarterbacks. And Lance, of course, is number 5. All right, so that's the video. There we go. Oh, my goodness. Shanahan said, let's see. Trey Lance, who spent part of the offseason working with Jeff Christensen in Dallas, looked like he had a smoother, more compact delivery. With Purdy out of action, Lance took all the first-team repetitions while Darnold took second-team reps. Shanahan said that he would, quote, that would even out over time as Darnold becomes more familiar with the offense. He also noted that at this stage of the offseason, practices mainly consist on 7-on-7, and that none of the 49ers' top receivers are even out there. So the first-team offense is a relative term. Lance said he started to feel fully recovered in late March from the ankle injury that ended his 2022 season, and that he's as healthy as he has been in a while. Wrist, hand, arm, shoulder, it all kind of connects, obviously, he said. Yeah, it bugged a lot of other things, and it was hard to find a way to throw. Finishing off my middle finger and changing my grip, things like that. The offseason said, quote, focused on some things I need to focus on. Both Lance and Darnold finished 11 for 15 on their attempts. Darnold seemed like he was more aggressive of the two, including a deep pass down the sideline to speedster Danny Gray. The most accurate quarterback of the four, Brandon Allen, was 6 for 6. Including a long pass down the middle to tight end Troy Fumagalli? Okay. I don't recognize that name. I hope he hadn't been on the team for like 3 years and I just never seen his name this whole time. Wow. Now, let's get to this because the New York Post is talking about some Sam Darnold. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reported on SportsCenter that opposing teams think Sam Darnold is far from an afterthought in the 49ers' upcoming competition. Quote, the Sam Darnold signing is really interesting to a lot of teams I talked to. Quote, they believe that Sam Darnold is going to push for meaningful snaps with this team as early as week 1. They believe his major talent has gone largely untapped. Maybe the 49ers can bring something out in him. San Francisco does have one of the most intriguing circumstances at quarterback, as we all know, and as I just went over. Wow. The signing of Darnold was something of an afterthought as the 25-year-old has failed to establish himself in 5 seasons in the league. He's still only 25, folks, with 55 starts. That's pretty wild. Quote, he can do everything. Star running back Christian McCaffrey, who played with Darnold on the Panthers before being traded to the 49ers. He can make every throw. He's smart. He's able to pick up things quickly and do his job. Doesn't play beyond anything. Does exactly what he's told all the time and adds a lot of flair to it. I got the privilege to play with Sam. Not enough, unfortunately. His toughness for me is something he doesn't get enough credit for. Just knowing the stuff he went through in New York and Carolina, to be able to keep his head down, keep working as he did, showed a lot of perseverance, determination, and toughness. I'm all that. I'm happy he's here. And the dirty little secret that I think is now out is Kyle Shanahan loves Sam Darnold. He loves him. All right? I dare say he loves Sam Darnold way more than he ever loved Jimmy Garoppolo. We got to remember, Garoppolo was more of a Lynch thing. Shanahan wanted Kirk Cousins, all right? But they both liked Sam Darnold a lot coming out of the draft. So the Sam Darnold thing is really interesting. I think we believe that Brock Purdy it's his job. But I'm going to tell you, if Brock Purdy was to go out and falter and not be great the first couple of weeks or first 3 weeks, that's going to get very interesting very quickly. And, you know, there is a thought out there, and I like Brock Purdy a lot. All right? Again, he checked all the Bill Parcells boxes, which I think a lot of teams, and they did this last draft, they started looking for Brock Purdy's in the draft. All these quarterbacks were getting selected later on. Teams are starting to realize that they may be missing a quarterback, all right, now in the later rounds. This is going to get interesting. If he comes back, there's a thought, well, what if his elbow's not all the way back, or what if the Brock Purdy thing was a bit of an anomaly? Yikes. But he was the last pick in the draft. He wasn't a third rounder or a second rounder or a first rounder. There is a thought, what if that was sort of a, lightning in a bottle, that kind of thing with Brock, that Shanahan's going to be very, very interested. And he's going to be flirting with Sam Darnold all year, winking at him, you know. Sam's kind of my guy. He listens to me. He's got a badass arm. And Sam Darnold does have a badass arm. He does. He's got a bit of a cannon. People don't realize that, I don't think. So, man, 49ers quarterback situation is one of the most interesting stories that we're going to have going into week 1. If Brock wasn't hurt, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But he's hurt. Then you got the Trey Lance truthers out there. Oh, he's reshaped his throwing motion. He looks spectacular. In a game? Does he look good in a game? Oh, we haven't played a game yet. Okay. Just wondering. I think Trey Lance might eventually get a shot with somebody. I just don't think it's going to be with the Niners. He might. And look, if Trey goes out there and he balls out, awesome. Go out there, kick ass, man. Kick ass. All right? I'm not rooting against the kid. I just haven't seen enough. I still contend the Niners should have never drafted a quarterback with a Super Bowl-ready roster. Never. I mean, I could understand if you knew this was Patrick Mahomes, that kind of dude, but you didn't know that. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.